Our top story tonight, mass raids in Germany to foil a suspected coup plot. 25 members and supporters of a far-right group are in custody in Germany this evening, accused of plotting to overthrow the government. It follows a series of dawn raids by more than 3,000 police and security forces across the country. The German prosecutor's office said the accused were planning to storm the Bundestag parliament building and install a new national leader called Heinrich XIII. Our Eyes News chief correspondent John Cookson has the story.
The dawn raids were one of the biggest anti-extremism operations in modern German history. 3,000 officers took part in 150 swoops in 11 of Germany's 16 states, with 2 people arrested in Austria and Italy. Those in custody tonight are made up of active and former members of the German military and included ex-elite soldiers from special units. But they also included a man whom supporters backed as leader of a revived Second Reich, a man known as Heinrich XIII. He claims to be from a noble German family which once ruled parts of the country until 1918. According to German prosecutors, those arrested were planning to storm the German parliament, the Bundestag, and install their own government. They'd already chosen ministers of health, justice and foreign affairs. For Germans, this had echoes of August 2020, when hundreds of conspiracy theorists, anti-vaxxers and anarchists tried but failed to get into the Bundestag. Germany's Interior Minister Nancy Faeser says the suspected terrorist group uncovered today is driven by fantasies of violent overthrow and conspiracy ideologies. Just how dangerous this unnamed organisation is, its link to the right-wing Reichsbürger movement, we've yet to find out. Realistically, mounting a successful coup in Germany seems unlikely, but the fact police say they were allegedly prepared to kill is a massive concern. John Cookson, Arise News.
And Arise chief correspondent John Cookson joins me now from London for more. Good to see you, John. What's the latest since you put together that report we just saw?
Hi, Charles. Good to see you. The police investigation still going on. Those people arrested today are being questioned at various police stations. A massive roundup. 3,000 German police are actually involved in 130 raids in 11 out of 16 states in Germany. And there were 2 arrests, one in Austria and one in Italy. So it's clearly a massive operation. And the further I looked into it as the day went by, as soon as I heard about this Heinrich XIII character, who seems to be something of a fantasist, even the family that he purports to belong to says that he's a confused old man, then it didn't take on a sort of comedic value, but because certainly some of these people could be dangerous. They're former ex-service men and maybe women too, we don't know. So there is a serious edge to this, and they're one of a number of right-wing groups active in Germany at the moment, and it does raise a concern for the German government, who I'm sure are secure tonight. Chancellor Schulz doesn't have too much to worry about, but they certainly have to keep an eye on groups like this.
Well, I mean, I have to say, John, it all sounds really extraordinary. I mean, what's the arguments that the group were making to justify their plan? I mean, I understand they said modern Germany has no right to exist.
Yeah, they believe that Germany that was recreated after the Second World War, they think is a fiction, that in fact there should be a Reich, and more specifically, a recreation of the Second Reich, which was around at the end of the 19th century. And the Germany should have a Tsar, and this character, Heinrich XIII, was going to be the new, sorry, not the Tsar, Kaiser. a new Kaiser of Germany. Look, they don't pay their taxes because they don't believe in the current government. They claim to be asking for assistance from Russia. We don't know whether they're getting any assistance. It's just a shadowy organization that seems to be operating, one of several in Germany at the present time. With you can't say they don't have a clear objective. They do. They want to get rid of the current government because they don't think it's a legitimate government in Germany, and they want to reinstall this so-called Second Reich from the 19th century.
So, I mean, an extremely dangerous group that put together a military arm and were prepared to kill members of the government in order to achieve their aims, as you mentioned in your package. Is it possible, John, to work out what sort of public support they might have?
Well, I mean, I'm sure there are Germans who support groups like this. I mean, the sheer number of groups that there are on the right, they do get a lot of support in certain parts of the country, including in Brandenburg and Saxony state. And interestingly, Charles, the German government got a massive de-radicalization program underway. They spent €1 billion on it to try to re-educate, if you like, members of these right-wing groups. What's also emerged during the course of the day is that there seems to be a lot of cohesion now amongst right-wing, the various right-wing groups in Germany, which, of course, power in number, of course, and joined together, they become a stronger force. So that's a concern for the German government. But we'll no doubt hear in the coming days and weeks as prosecutions go ahead just to find out who exactly these people are. We know about Heinrich XIII, and we've talked about him, but also arrested is a former German paratrooper, Rudiger van P. He's 69 years old. A lot of these people arrested are older people, elderly. That's another point to make. And another reason, perhaps, that they could be dismissed as old crackpots who just wanted to overthrow the government, but at a real no big risk to the country. Except, of course, we have this dark side to them that apparently they wanted to storm the Bundestag and kill ministers.
And of course, John, Germany has a 20th century history that is so dreadful that any mention of organized far-right cells fills people with concern, even horror, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And the other factor to mention here is that what is grist to the mill of all these far-right groups is a massive immigration into Germany in recent years under Angela Merkel's rule, and those opposed to mass immigration, of course, join groups like this. And even yesterday, a German girl, sadly, was stabbed to death by an Eritrean refugee. And it's incidents like this which are becoming not rare in Germany now. Is all grist to the mill to the supporters of right-wing groups and members of right-wing groups. So there's a complicated dynamic going on here.
John, thanks very much indeed, and thank you for bringing us that extraordinary story. John Cookson, Arise Chief Correspondent, talking to me there from London.